Hello everybody, Hellcrex here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode, 323? Yeah, definitely 323. Alright, today we're going to be talking about the Huntsman or Nobori-Nin, something like that. It is a 50-ton clan mech. It is a 585, so it does have some mobility. It has endosteel and ferrofibrous armor, with 10 double heat sinks and 169 points of armor, which is totally maxed at 9 tons. It does have a lot of extra tonnage available for pod space. It has 23.5. So you're almost guaranteed a lot of times to be carrying around probably a ER small laser most of the time. Because what you can do with that half ton less? Well, I guess you could always toss it into something else, like a streak or something. But anywho, it is a pretty good mech. Even though it's 5'8", 5, when you look at it in terms of clan, it is one of those mechs that has a lot of firepower for its weight class. So it can go out there and pretty much go to toe-to-toe with a lot of inner sphere mechs and rip them to pieces in a short period of time. As when you look at clan mechs, well, they can carry a lot of weapons, which are hard-hitting, and if they go the route of throwing enough heat sinks in, then they can just do that turn after turn after turn. But, we're talking clans here. Most of the time, they fire everything. They're going to turn into a post-toasty for a while. But that's here nor there. All right, the standard weaponry we have. Geez, there's like, how many are there? There's all the way configuration T. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of configurations that we're going to have to go through just to take a look at it. But the standard configuration, the Prime, has 2 ER medium lasers in the right arm, 2 ER medium lasers in the left arm. We have an Ultra AC2 in the right arm with a ton of ammunition. That's more than enough. We have a Streak 6 in the right arm with a ton of ammunition. And then we have an LRM 10 with Artemis in the right torso with a ton of ammunition. We have an anti-missile system with a ton of ammunition in the left torso. We have an active probe. All right, so an active probe. And the right torso, left torso, we have tag. Then we have anti-personnel pods in the right leg and left leg, and a flamer in the left torso. Yep. This thing reads like a grocery list of everything possible you can throw on a mech in the primary configuration. And, well, it can deal with a lot of different type of targets. All the way from basic straight leg crunchy infantry all the way up to Battlemechs. So, there. Kind of like when I look at this thing is like you got the 4 ER medium lasers, which are pump out 20 heat, and if you got any type of movement, that's what's going to cause your heat problems. You could jump 5 and go up 1 on the heat scale. All right, you got that. But then if you toss in why not throw in the autocannon? So you're going to add a little bit of heat with that. So it's your movement modifiers which will raise your heat levels on this prime mech. And then if you throw in the LRM-10, and why not? Yeah, you're looking at some heat. Now, obviously, I always look at that AC2 as kind of a plinking weapon system. And it works good for taking out VTOLs or vehicles. Or just, you look at 2 points of damage. And most mechs, you're like, okay, you're annoying me. But the only time it doesn't get annoying is when it really gets annoying is if you happen to roll a crit or possible crit with that AC2, you know, like a floating crit someplace and do some damage. But most of the time, most people ignore an AC2. It's like getting hit with a long-range machine gun. And being an ultra cannon, you know, you got about 50-50 chance of doing 4 points of damage. Oh, yay. That's really going to hurt. But I guess it could add up. Now, against vehicles, yeah, that could cause some problems, especially if you're hitting them in the flank. Now, they call this a kind of a recon scout mech, but no, this is a cavalry style mech, kind of rampaging around the corners and in support of your typical heavy mechs, like say in the Timberwolf or something like that. You know, you leave the little faster cav operations to, you know, your 55 tonners that are roaming around at 6'9" movement. Oh yeah, 5'8". Yeah, with the jump jets, you do have a little bit more ability to get around, but you know, you're not going to be chasing down any recon mechs on the other side. Even though your weapon systems may have some good range capability to hit them at longer ranges before the recon mechs can even get close, you know, you might drive them off that way. So there's that. But you know, you got the anti-pods and the flamers and stuff like that. Yeah, that can cause some havoc on, you know, your basic crunchies. And the anti-missile system kind of, you know, you got, if you're going against toads, I guess you could think about that as something to keep those missile pods of theirs at bay for a short period of time when you get in close enough and try to tear them up a little bit. Now, a point of elementals against this mech could do some damage to it, but you could really tear up a point of elementals with the weapon systems you have on board with this one. Especially, well, if you fired everything, you're going to need those jump jets to get away because you're going to be a little hot. I'll just say that. But it is what it is. All right. So pretty much how I would use this mech is just going around the flanks, kind of nibbling at the corners, that type of deal. That's kind of like how I would envision this mech being used. In support of your heavier assets, you know, like I said, your heavy mechs and even some of your slightly faster 80 tons that are going to be 5/8. You know, you're going to be in that category, you know, a little bit farther out on the flanks with those things. And if you got some decent long-range weapon systems, you're going to be nibbling at the edges. And then dive in, because you're 55 tons. Even though you got max armor, you probably not want to get too engaged quickly. Now, if you're facing off against, like say, inner sphere mediums, and you know, you can bully those things pretty hard, and stay in your medium sweet spot, which might be their long range. So it's kind of a give and take. If you can keep yourself in your happy place, where you're able to do the damage, dish it out without getting too hot. This is one of those mechs where you don't want to start cooking it too quickly, because you know you got a lot of firepower, so you could cook it fast, but you don't want to, and you want to keep your mobility going, because even at 55 or 50 tons, your armor will disappear pretty quickly. And it won't take too long to start getting into your juicy parts. So, there. Now, there are a plethora of different, like I said, there is a bunch of versions of this mech running around. Now, one thing I would say I might have done with the, I don't know what you call it, the prime version is get rid of the AC2 and maybe swapped it out for an ER large laser. And a couple more heat sinks to help take care of your heat up close when you move into that short range weapon system range. You know, there's something to help there. And then go down that route. Because if you got long range weapons, let's say you're an ER large laser and LRM-10, yeah, you can do some good damage, out to 20 damage. And then when you get in closer, you flip over to different weapon systems that start dishing out more damage. So, there. All right. We have configuration A. Now, this one has an LRM-10, it has an LBX-2, and a pair of large pulse lasers, and an extra 2 heat sinks. It comes in at 2,000 battle value. I forgot to mention the standard version is slightly, the prime is 2,100, just a tad over 2,100. So you're looking at it kind of expensive. That's because these mechs with 23.5 tons of pod space, you are going to have some expensive mechs. There's no way around it, to be honest, because if you start dishing a nice plate full of weapon systems, your battle value just goes up quickly. So there's that. Not what can you do about it. But with this one, you can dissipate 24, but you're going to be throwing most of that into your 2 large pulses and your LRM-10. And when you go that route, yeah, you're, let's see, that's 24 and the 25, 27. So, yeah, you can go up 3 right off the bat just by firing all your weapon systems you have on board at long range. So you got to really watch it. So it's one of those things where I'd probably be constantly using my large pulse lasers, because that's your hard-hitting weapon systems and the easiest to hit with. And then I'd just shut off the LRM-10 and do a little bit of cooling, and then come back again once you're knocked a little bit of heat off. Just keep the 10s going. Now the LBX-2 really, that's not really a hard-hitting weapon at all. It's like you're lucky if you can do 2 points of damage 50% of the time. And now against vehicles, yeah, you might be able to do some motive hits pretty quickly, but that's about it. All right, so you got configuration B. This one has an ERPPC, an LBX-10, and a pair of medium pulse lasers and 2 machine guns. And this comes in at 21.5 battle value. All right, so you got a hard-hitting PPC and an LBX-10. So a lot of times, I forget, does this one have 2 tons of ammo on board? The B, I'll double check. Yes, we got 2 tons of ammunition, so you can do cluster and solid shot. So yeah, that way, that's not bad. But you're still looking at maybe some heat problems. And this one comes in at 21, like I said, 21.5 battle value. But you can do up to 25 damage out at long range. That's not bad. All right. Typically, if you really wanted to be, throw everything into cluster munitions and have 20 shots with it, punch holes with your PPC and then follow up with shotgun effects with the LBX-10, and then just go crit hunting constantly. That's one way to go at it. Now, 2 machine guns are really good for against unarmored infantry, but you got to get close. And then you got the 2 medium pulse lasers, so it's possible to maybe shut off the LBX and use the 2 pulse lasers to do, you're going to go up a little bit on the heat scale. But who's not, your typical player is going to, when they get in close, will just be firing everything and they're going to start slowly rotisserie cook themselves. But what can you do? That's the PPC is going to be throwing a lot of heat into the mix. All right. Then we had configuration C. Now, this one's your fire support mech. It uses an LRM-10, 20, an LRM-15, an AC-5 Ultra, an ER medium laser, an ER small laser, and a Streak 4 for up close. And it does have a flamer against infantry. This one comes in at 2200 battle value. All right. Now, to me, I would have kept it with drop the LRM 20 and have 2 LRM 15s so you can share ammo. It's just weird that you're going to have one big LRM and one smaller LRM. It makes zero sense to me. And possibly downsizing the other one, you might have put Artemis on both of them. So, and then you have the Ultra Cannon. Yeah, that's not bad. So you can sit there at longer range with all 3 weapons and do some damage. Then you got the ER medium laser be thrown into the mix. So if you went down to LRM 15s, yeah, let's see, that'd be 3, 13, 17, 18. Yeah, out at 15, you could be hovering you could stay in that 20 heat mark and be operational. And when you got in close, you might have shut down the Ultra Cannon and thrown the streak in there for cluster munition, basically, for a bunch of 2-point shots. So you got that route. All right. Or you could just say you're going to fire everything and then say the streak is the only thing that's going to be affecting your heat too much. So there's that. All right, configuration D. All right, this one has an ATM-6 with 3 tons of ammunition, so you got choices there. And then you have an Ultra AC-10. So yeah, I'd rather have a LBX-10 myself. And then you have a pair of medium pulse lasers, a small pulse laser, and this comes in at 2,000 battle value. All right, you do have the capability up close to really hammer someone home, do a lot of damage, especially with the ATM-6. You're using short-range weapons with that. Hey, you can tear things up pretty quickly. All right. So it is one of those mechs that you could use for diving in quickly, do some damage, and then think about moving on to the next target. You're not going to be alone, probably. Like I said, this is one of those mechs that's probably going to be running around with a bunch of other 5.8 moving heavies. So there's that. All right, configuration E. All right, then we have, this is, they say, Jihad era. Has a large pulse laser, a pair of medium pulse lasers. So right there, you're looking at 18. All right, so, but it's one of those mechs where if you're jumping, it can offset some of that cost for hitting. Then it has an ATM-6 with 3 tons of ammunition. To be honest, an ATM-6, I'd probably just carry 2 tons of ammo, the short and long range. Then it has an ER small laser, an anti-missile system, an active probe, and tag. And it has 4 additional heat sinks. Seems like the 4 additional heat sinks, so you're looking at 14, so 28. Well, I guess, to be honest, you're probably looking at something that's going to be doing a lot of hopscotching around with that many heat sinks. So they're probably thinking that you're going to be jumping a lot in behind or around people. So yeah, you're going to be running really cool. And then you're using the short-range ATM cluster munitions to hammer home. Well, yeah. But this one comes in at 2,100 battle value, just a tad over. But that's kind of how I envisioned this one, was a jumping mech, getting around. Heck, you might even looked at what to do with that ER small. And if you used up one of those extra tons from the ATM-6 and throw it into upgrading that ER small to a pulse laser, or just give it an ER medium laser. Well, think about that. Then we got configuration F. All right, this one says it's Dark Age era. It has a targeting Peter, which is going to need it. It has an improved heavy laser, which is good. All right, so you're actually improving beyond the standard heavy laser. It has 2 ER medium lasers, while an ATM, or not, LRM-15 with Artemis. Okay, you're going to have more pop. Now, if they're not running ACM around, you're going to gain a little benefit from that, which I'm always a big fan of. I'd rather use Artemis on my mechs than rely on an arc beacon. And to offset any heat, it has 14 double heat sinks. And all right, so really, yeah, you're not worrying too much about heat with this one, with those 14 double heat sinks. Yeah, you're going to have a heavy laser. It's going to do some major heat, but let's see, 26. Yeah, I guess you're going to be having a slight overdose of heat, but that's not too bad. But this one comes in over 23.5 battle value, so it is a bit expensive to be roaming around with a target computer and a heavy laser. So there is that. Now, configuration G. All right, this one has a pair of Streak 6s, 2 tons of ammunition with case 2. The right arm has a retractable blade, so now we're running around with what do you call it? The capability of melee. And then it has 3 ER medium pulse lasers. All right, so that ain't bad. Leg-mounted small pulse laser for against infantry, and it has a supercharger, so it can do a bit of sprinting. And it has an active probe and a target computer. All right. So the target computer is useful with the ER medium pulse laser, so you're really going to have a high chance of hitting with the pulse and the target computer matched up. And then you have a pair of Streak 6s, so really the only time you have to worry too much about heat, to be honest, if you're just running, is if those streaks launch, because that's what's going to kick you over the edge right there. And this comes in almost 2,400 battle value. But it's one of those mechs where it will tear armor off something up close and then hammer home with those 2 streaks if they hit. And then you follow up with a blade attack. So there's that. So the odds of you punching a hole through somebody is pretty good. All right. Configuration H. This one carries a active probe ECM. And they call this one a reconnaissance unit. It's more like a let's say full-on cav mech. Because reconnaissance to me is something that moves very fast, can get in and out without having to worry about too many things hunting it down. And a 5.8 moving mech, it will need the weapon systems to protect it from being taken down too quickly. It mounts a pair of ER large lasers, a heavy small laser, 4 heavy medium lasers, all tied into a target computer with 6 double heat sinks added on at 2,500 battle value. So it is a bit expensive, but it does have a good amount of firepower. So when you're at, and it's like you're going to have 16 heat sinks, so you can double pump out the 32 dissipation. So you do have the capability of firing the 2 ER large lasers with a target computer. So you're shooting out at longer ranges, tearing armor off somebody while you're looking for targets. All right. And if somebody decides to get in close and you hit them with the 4 heavy medium lasers, yeah, you're going to need those heat sinks to take care of some of that heat. But it's not that bad. And somebody's going to know it if they get too close and you hit them with those heavy medium lasers. They're going to go, okay, that wasn't fun at all. No, not at all. But, it comes at the cost of all that heat. But the target computer kind of makes it a little more manageable, so it's a straight up. So if you got a good pilot in this thing, which would make this thing really expensive, So there's that. So there are drawbacks. So you're probably not going to see one of these too often, but it'd be an interesting one to play with. So there. Now, configuration I. This one provides heavy fire support. The right arm carries a HAG 20, fed with 3 tons of ammunition. In the right torso, the left arm carries an ER large laser, a plasma cannon with 2 tons of ammo, and finally an ER small pulse laser. Comes in at about 2,300 battle value. All right, the HAG 20 will do some nice damage. And then you got the ER large laser, so you got some really good long range, and the plasma cannon combined together will do some really good work. But you got to watch that heat problems again when they combine everything together. So, but then again, what clan mech can handle? You can throw all kinds of weapons systems on board, but you got to watch the heat. You got to figure out what's going to work best for you and what range bands, and then fire those. Some individuals love to run heat. They don't think you have a problem with heat until you get over 12, but you're always doing problems to yourself, and slowing yourself down isn't helpful. Having extra mods to hit, he's like, hey, I would have hit with everything, I just missed by 1. If I only didn't have that heat problem. Yeah, how many times have I seen that over the years? Yeah. Configuration N. All right. The Warden and Crusader technology mounts an ER-PPC, an ER large laser, an ATM-6, a heavy medium laser, a target impeller to make the direct fire weapons more accurate, and 3 additional heat sinks to take care of the heat. And this comes in at 25.5 battle value. Now, personally, maybe would have gone with maybe 2 ER large lasers, and then tossed in maybe a couple ER medium lasers with that targeting impeller. Go that route. So yes, using the longer range of the ER large lasers to your benefit to hammer thing at long. But then again, there's something nice about dishing out 15 in one spot with an ER-PPC. So give or take, it's just a little bit longer range with the ER large laser, but the idea of adding a little bit more weapon systems capability for handling other things is possible. And you can really manage your heat a little bit better. So, but I can really understand someone wanting to have an ER-PPC. They're really nice. Okay, configuration T. All right, this one provides a wide variety of weapons. Each arm carries a pair of improved heavy medium lasers. All right. And at long range is provided by an Ultra 2 cannon in the right arm and a pair of Streak LRM-5s. That's really long range. And the right torso and micro pulse laser, an ER small laser, and a flamer to take care of infantry, straight leg crunchies. And the left arm additionally carries a Streak 6 launcher. So now we're getting into like tons of different weapon systems. I like to keep things into more cohesive numbers of the same thing, but and additional protections provided by a laser anti-missile system. Yeah, we're getting down the range down here, and the missile launcher and the autocannon each have a ton of ammunition. So yeah, but the ultra cannon, 45 shots, or cut that in half. You're basically 23 times you can fire that thing, which is, if you're playing 23 turns, you played a long game. That's a long campaign. It comes in at 2,100 battle value. Personally, the heavy medium lasers can really, they dish out the damage, but you're also pumping out the heat too. So you just got to figure out what are you going to use for long range and what are you going to use for short range, that type of thing. But a Streak launcher, Streak 6 is kind of nice. So you're sitting with the Ultra 2 and the Streak LRM-5 as your long-range weapon systems, and you got your micro pulse laser and flamer are up close and punching range. So you got that. So it just comes down to the improved heavy medium lasers. Now you don't have to worry about the problem with the mods with that for hitting, but you know, I'd rather have something that it can be paired up with my Ultra Cannon and my Streak LRM5 for a little bit farther out. So there's that. Okay, so that is the Huntsman Nobori. Sounds something like that. Not a bad mech. It's got a lot of firepower, but then again, you know, what clan mech doesn't? Especially when you start running around at slower speeds like a 5.8. So you can throw more weapons out there downrange. So let me know, what would if it's an Omni mech, what would you put on board for your weapon systems for this one? Would you run a couple PPCs, or personally, I like the idea of a one with nothing but pulse lasers and a targeting repeater. That would be something I could get behind, especially when you look at, was it configuration A, it has 2 large pulse lasers, and then you have get rid of the LBX and replace it with another, let's say, a couple heat sinks or something of that nature. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. You never know. So there are all kinds of possibilities. So let me know what you want to go with it. All right, so that is it. That's the Huntsman in a nutshell. All kinds of opportunity to do some good work downrange. All right, this is Hellcrex. You guys have a good one. Hellcrex out.